So I want to talk about the way that psychologically you've personally dealt with attacks, because a lot of people who, if you are feeling this and you're like, man, I'd really like to support, Bobby, or I'd really like to support something that I believe in that's unpopular. We experienced that during the whole COVID pandemic. We experienced how vicious people were when you started to speak your opinion.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you personally respond? Because it's hard to get to a point where, and I've not found that you can be callous to the negative without being callous to the positive. Mm-hmm. So there's a place of retraction where you can go to a place of, I don't care about what anybody says. It's a place of like safe neutrality where you discard everybody, but that doesn't quite feel right either. So how do you respond to the attacks and to the negativity?
There's sort of several ways I could answer that. A lot of it is how do you embrace your own ego structure, right? Mm-hmm. Something that I think a lot about. I will say that I am not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. So just the Jesus thing, I think religion has messed up that story in many ways. I don't sort of want to go back and rehash that. If you read the words of Jesus, what I know this guy did is he triggered a lot of people. And I always try to imagine if he came back, what would that actually be like? I know every Christian's like, oh my God, I would like bow down. I'd be so psyched to see him. I'm pretty sure you would crucify him. I'm pretty sure.
There's a very good chance the first thing he would attack would be the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, look, I'm not a scholar. I don't know that for sure.
No, we don't know for sure.
But fundamentally, it feels like there's been and has been historically, the antithesis of what he stood for being exemplified in his name.
Right.
And so, it's like, all right, what would actually happen? And that would be an interesting, experiment.
Because I think the truth in it, and not to wax too much in this, but I think his main point was judge not that you be not judged. You do not have the capability of judging. Only God's all the nuance that is in life, you're not capable of comprehending it. So I would imagine, I'm sure I'm going to get someone in trouble here. When I imagine it, I think Jesus would come back, probably throw his arm around some transgender person and say, you don't have the right to judge this person. Mm-hmm. And then he'd go over to a machine gun owning gun owner and say, you don't have the right to judge this person. I stand with both these people, because that's what he did. When I read the Bible, that's what he did. What he picked was who you think it's okay to judge. The prostitute in the room, lest you have no sin, then you do not get to cast the first stone. That is, and so that, that is where, just to sort of push on that a little bit. And so I think about those things as I think about attacks on me or the judgments on me. What I know is that if you're attacking me, you just simply don't actually understand what I'm doing. It's not, I don't need to take it personally. In some ways, I see those as though a child is attacking me. If my daughter at 9 years old challenges me to something, it's not really that much of a challenge, right? I'm going to try and be nice. I'm going to try and help you understand what you're not understanding about all the things you don't see in the conversation we just had, or why I'm making the decision I am. I mostly see that in this space. For me, my wheelhouse is this vaccine space. I know for a fact I have read more studies on vaccines, how they got approved, what they went through. I have the number one most successful nonprofit at suing the government and getting these details. We have the Pfizer data, from the COVID trials because of my legal work, my legal team. We have the V-Safe data from the CDC. We're now getting the Moderna data. All of that. This is what I do. So if a doctor's attacking me, I simply think, boy, it's really unfortunate that you're wearing a lab coat and people trust you, but you haven't read what I've read. You don't really actually know what you're talking about. And we're seeing a moment where many leading authorities, Dr. Peter McCullough, the leading heart doctor in the world, has come over to my direction. It's because he started reading. Dr. Robert Malone, who invented the mRNA technology, is now, it's not because I'm right, I have some great, it's the truth.
Right.
You just haven't seen it. And so how do it would be foolish for me to engage and get angry when all I'm dealing with is a lack of knowledge of someone that hasn't done the appropriate research and doesn't actually know what they're talking about. But I will say this, because what you're talking about is How do we get people to be not afraid for the attacks that will come by saying publicly, I'm supporting Robert Kennedy Jr., or anything in their lives that may be controversial is a deeply held belief that they would love to come out of the closet and share, but are afraid what other people would think. And this is something that my parents were really focused on with me. I mean, I really was raised with, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That phrase is gone. We don't live in that society anymore.
Right.
We now live, all words hurt, they're punishing, they're brutal, and you should hate anyone that uses bad words against you. But I will say this is what carries me, is it really comes down to a story when I had, and I don't know how many of your viewers really, and I don't want to tell the whole story of how I got involved with making Vaxxed and what that was about. But there's a moment where I had prayed, I wanted to tell this whistleblower story. I didn't know what was going on with it. And in an outrageous set of what I would call miracles, someone could just say they're, coincidences, within days of that prayer that this is a story I want to be a part of, I find myself in the basement of Dr. Andrew Wakefield, who had been working on a documentary about this whistleblower I had no idea he had, and I'm watching his documentary. And I realized in that moment, it was a real epiphany moment, that this documentary will be seen by nobody in the world. It was important. It had 10,000 documents backing up proof that the CDC was committing fraud on the vaccine safety studies. It was all there, but it was so scientific, nobody in the world was going to watch it. And I realized in that moment, a kid that never got vaccinated myself. I was raised with alternate health. My mom's like, why are you working on a medical talk show? You've never been to a doctor in your life. I was like, I don't know, Mom, but it's really cool. I'm kind of like this Trojan horse in here. I'm challenging the medical establishment with the shows I'm doing, and I'm the top-rated producer on the show. I don't know what's going on. And in that moment, I realized, oh my God, I think I was being trained for this moment. I'd always known there was something that I felt like I was supposed to do, and here it is. And my father, and I've talked about my parents, my dad was always like, go out and change the world, make a difference in the world. So he's the first, I actually called my wife, said I'm about to ruin my television career and I'm going to get involved with this documentary. She said, okay, brilliant, could not be here without her support, which is a huge part of it. But I called my father, thinking this is it. He's going to be so proud of me. I finally, in all these years, I'm now 40 years old, took forever to get here, found my thing. And I said, I'm going to make this documentary working with Dr. Andrew Wakefield, probably the most controversial doctor in the world on vaccines. And my dad said, don't do it. I was like, what? He's like, don't do it. Del, I feel like I put you up to this. I feel like I told you you can make a difference in the world, and now you're about to do something that's going to destroy everything you've worked on. I think he said, I think I told you also, there are moments you should just lay low. You should just let something pass by. Don't be the target. Don't let the crosshairs land on you where you become the focus of a problem you can't fix. This is what he said. And I remember the moment he said, lay low. I'm on the phone. This really happened. It's such a time stops moment. I picture myself crouching down in this tall grass, and I start seeing these Nazis marching on a dirt road. And then I hear tanks and the rumbling of the tank wheels on the dirt road and the side-by-side motorcycles, as though all images I got from movies. And I'm crouching down in the grass hiding. And right when I imagined that all of the footsteps, everything was going to disappear in the distance, they didn't. I started hearing them crunching through the sticks and the leaves all around me, and I realized they knew I was there. They were surrounding me. And I'm on the phone with my dad. And all of this hits me, and I said, Dad, you also made a statement when we were growing up. You would say to us, if anyone ever abducts you, if you ever grabbed and yanked into a car. I remember he started this when I was 3 years old. He said, you take your first opportunity, you kick, you scream, you break, whatever it takes, but you give everything you've got at escaping. And he would say, do you hear me? Did you hear what I said? I said, yeah, take your best opportunity when you can escape. He's like, no, I didn't say your best opportunity. I said your first opportunity. There is a difference. You must realize, and he said, we were taught, my dad was in the Army, so we were taught that the longer your opponent, the longer they have you, the better they have you.
Yeah.
The moment you realize you're had, you've got to get out as quickly as you can. I said, similarly, Dad, we are fucking surrounded.
Yeah.
All the problems that we said at the beginning of this conversation are coming at us from all sides. They know where we live. They're tracking every damn thing we're doing. And so to all those people that are afraid to stand for the truth, afraid of what's going to happen, I want to say to you, you are surrounded. You are kneeling down in grass as though somehow, if I don't talk about it, this is all going to go away. It's not going away. They're moving in from every direction. So the only thing an intelligent person does in that moment is doesn't continue to hide, because the inevitable outcome is only they have you, you're imprisoned, and everything you dreamed about the future of your life is gone. The moment you realize that is what you're living in, you stand up in that grass, you take a moment to look at what's coming at you, you find the weakest part of that circle, you charge it, and you fight with everything you've got. And that's how I deal with this. I don't care what people say to me. I realize the moment I'm living in. Yeah. I'm living in the most important moment humanity has ever had. Everything our founding fathers fought for, all their life at risk. How do they do that? How does George Washington cross the Potomac when they're dying of smallpox and their toes are falling off? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how. Because he realizes if he doesn't, he's fucked. Anyway, so why not give it everything you have?
Yeah. There's something that reliably in every heroic movie, like I can watch The Notebook and I may not shed a tear. And it's not because I'm not compassionate for the love story and the, star-crossed lovers whole story. Of course, I'm a poet, I'm sensitive to that stuff. But it's not what's going to get me, in a moment where all the emotions come forward. It's when I see a hero who is willing to stand like that, whether it's William Wallace in Braveheart or Leonidas in 300. Like, I can't watch that movie, even if it's the 50th time I watch it, without tears coming, because I recognize that that's me too. Like, that's me too. I would do the same thing. And there's the tears come as a remembering of the nature of our true character.
Yeah.
And that's why the tears are coming now when I hear you say that, because I know that to be true, and we can forget it, and we can get, we can pretend that nothing is happening, and we can pretend that it's all going to be all right. But when we actually really see what's happening and understand our purpose, and then also understand the continuity of our life, like William Wallace's actions. Yeah, he was ruthlessly tortured and killed, and he didn't win. But Robert the Bruce came back and finished what he started, and if he didn't start that, it would have been a whole different story. And when you also understand the continuity of your life, that this is one of your lives, of many lives. And for those people who doubt reincarnation is a real thing, look at the studies at the University of Virginia, please. Like, this is not an idea from some Eastern religion. This is now documented, and it's a real thing. So you see that there's this continuity of our life, and we're going to keep coming. We're just going to keep coming. And if this life, it doesn't work out, we're going to go back, in that other place, whatever that other place is, and look at the other souls, probably like we did 40 years ago or however long, whatever your age is, where you had your soul pod and you're like, y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to ride? Because there's this planet here that's so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the earth is just gorgeous. It's the best. Like it's the best. Heaven is available right here in so many ways. Yeah. If we just open our eyes to see it, it's so beautiful. It's so good. So you're sitting there going, do you want to risk everything to save this planet? Yeah. To save this great mother? Of course. Of course you would.
Yeah.
And we're in that moment, and it's about not looking away at this point, not looking away from who you are, and not looking away from what you're standing for. Yeah. Like, really look at it, and then find that hero that emerges inside yourself. And then, as you said, all the arrows that come, you can be like, Leonidas's lieutenant when they say our arrows will blot out the sun, and he just smiles and looks at his leader and says, so we'll fight in the shade. Yeah. So we'll fight in the shade. Like, that's something that if that's the way our life is, like, as the Lakota used to say, like, Hokahe, today is a good day to die.
That's it.
Like, today is a good day to die. And I've always, since the moment I heard that teaching, I was like, that's how I want to live. And to be that also requires that you clean up all of your business.
Yeah.
clean up all of your bit. Make sure that you tell everybody you love how much you love them.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you share as much as you have. Don't hide it all in there, but lay it all out there. Like love, experience life too. Like treasure this beautiful world. Do all of those things so that when that hokahe moment, that let's go moment comes, you have no regrets.
That's
and you
it.
can look at it and be like, today is a good day to die. And you can look at your brothers and your sisters and your family and your children, and you can just smile and just say, all right, if this is it, this is it.
Yeah.
And like, we've lost that. Many of us have lost that, and we're finding it again. And how beautiful. Like there wouldn't be another time that I would ever want to be alive than right now. Because not only do we have access to all of the beauty, but we have a real reason to stand.
Yeah.
Like a real reason to stand. We have a purpose.
Yeah. No, one of the things that I'm trying to correct is, I speak all over the country and even sometimes outside of the country. And the people that will walk up and say, thank you for your sacrifice. I'm like, man, that is a bullshit line. And it's something that you have been fed that somehow that Jesus sacrificed, like that was a sacrifice. There was a painful, ugly life somehow. And, I said, there is no, I wish people could live in my shoes just for a day.
Yeah.
In the shoes of someone that I see everything as opportunity. I see everything as a miracle. Even the things that go wrong, I'm like, this is all for my greater good. This is all moving me in the right direction. It's making me readjust. When I started seeing the world that way, that it's not against me, it's working to my benefit, it always does work to my benefit. There's no sacrifice here. I get to wake up passionate every single morning. I was a stoner as a kid. I could barely get out of bed. I was like, where's my life going to go? I wake up at 4 a.m. now with ideas. I can't go back to sleep. I got to get on my computer. I got a plan for the day. And I'm going until midnight because I can't stop. I'm so into all that is potential now. I see potential everywhere. And all it took was sort of really just deciding I'm engaged.
Yeah.
I have a purpose here, and it is so beautiful. This life, and I think people will think, oh, well, you guys are, your life is handed to you, it's gone. Well, no, the greatest pains in my life are the things I cherish the most.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, truly the greatest guiding functions. I don't think any of us can look in our rearview mirror and look at, wow, look what I've achieved. When you try to think back, how did you get here? You don't really remember all the positive moments. You remember those tragic, horrific moments that reset your course and put you, into a place that you're at now. And, recognizing when it's coming, the pain's coming. Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This one really hurts. It must be dynamic, what's about to be opened up for me.
Thanks for tuning into this video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Follow me at Aubrey Marcus. Check out the Aubrey Marcus Podcast, available everywhere. And leave a comment. Let me know if this video resonated or what else you would like to hear from me in the future. Thank you so much.